Hey, Moses here. Today, I want to talk about hustle culture. I have one relatively good thing to say about hustle culture, and I have maybe three not so good things about hustle culture. So, the very first good thing I want to say is that hustle culture really incentivizes you, me, to make use of ourselves, right? Hustle culture says, hey, get off your butt cheeks, go out into the real world, produce something, a product, a good and or a service that someone is willing to pay real money for, or that they're willing to give you their time for. There's an exchange of goods and or services that someone, hopefully society as a whole, finds genuinely valuable. That's the good thing. And at its essence, I think it's pretty foundational to how most of our society works and runs. And I don't want to diminish the value of that. I don't want to get rid of that whatsoever. There are three bad things about hustle culture though that I have to touch on. I have to touch on. And one of those things, I do have my notes here, so forgive me if I look down here to read. One of those first bad things is that, at least for most of us, it fails to define what success is. It fails to define what hustling truly is. Let me explain. Hustle, go out there, go get it. Ah, I understand like the underlying message is like get off your butt, go produce something, whatever that thing is. Find something in yourself that you find valuable enough to produce. Make something of yourself. But it still fails to define is it fails to give us a strong enough why. This is what I'm trying to say. A strong enough reason to hustle. Why should I hustle beyond the 40 hours a week? Why should I break my back? Right? Now, if I'm extremely passionate about something, sure, that's fine. But most of us that are that passionate about something, we don't have to be told to hustle. We just do it. It's our passion, right? So the hustle culture does a very good job in moving us from a lazy state of just consuming, me, to hey, produce something, make something of yourself. And that is infinitely valuable. But it fails to define, I think. Now, I'm only 30, right? So take my words with a giant grain of salt because I don't know much about life yet. So I'm willing to concede to that. But it fails to define a strong enough why. For that person that doesn't have amazing ambition, a crazy enough drive to get out there and get it, it fails to define why should someone hustle beyond their 40 hours a week. I got my 40. I'm making a sufficient enough income to sustain the lifestyle that I want. So why should I hustle beyond the 40? That's one of the bad things that the hustle culture fails to do. The second thing is that more often than not, hustle culture demonizes those that don't want to hustle, right? They're often labeled as, the lazy types. Those that don't want to do nothing. Those that want to suck from society and not contribute to society. And that is, I would say that that is no bueno. That's no bueno because it is okay for me to subscribe to the hustle culture and put that 60, 80, 100 hours a week. But it should be 1,000% okay for me to choose not to. Do my 40, call it a day, right? I should not be demonized or I should not be labeled as an unproductive member of society if I choose not to subscribe to the hustle culture, right? Now, I have no problem with my current interpretation of that or this. I have no problem in holding a stance on this being one major negative side of the hustle culture. Again, I don't want to attack the hustle culture. I don't want to attack the idea, the foundational idea that you should get out into the real world and produce something of value. Not at all. I'm addressing to the fact that if someone chooses to just coast and they put in their 40 hours and then they want to go, take those 2 weeks of vacation a year and, you know, not do more than that, that should be fine too. So do not demonize those that are not willing to subscribe to the hustle culture. Second bad thing that I really want to address on this. Again, I'm looking at my notes here, so fight me. Um, it This is the third thing actually. It I think, again, just a reminder here. I'm only 30. I'm only 30, and so I may not know a lot about life yet. But I think the effects that hustle culture is having on the broader society is the opposite effect that it set out to do. Because think about it. One of the main driving missions, force behind the hustle culture is go out there and produce. Go out there and produce. Make something of yourself. The effects that it's starting to have, though, is somewhat opposite of that because people are like, hey, I'm putting in my 40. Hell, sometimes I put in 50, right? And the drain that it is having in my life, it does not seem to be, one, sustainable across time because you want to live a lifestyle that is sustainable across time. And hustle culture is pushing the message that you have to produce overly produce, put in a lot of time, a lot of work, and don't really think about burnout. Burning out is a thing that we talk about, of course. But when someone chooses to take the steps that keep them from burning out, then by definition, almost they're stepping outside of the hustle culture, and then that becomes a problem. So I think hustle culture ends up having the opposite effect that it sets out to accomplish, which is to make people produce things, goods, and services that are valuable to society, to all of a sudden pushing people away because people are like, wait a minute, I cannot sustain this level of operating at this level across time. It's simply not sustainable. So those are my 2 cents. I don't know how long this video is, but those are my 2 cents. And I may change my mind 100%. Give it a year, give it 2 years, give it 10 years. I don't know. Once wisdom sets in, assuming that what I'm saying right now doesn't is not truly representative of reality, I'm more than willing to change my mind. But as of 2024, July 2024, I think that hustle culture is having the opposite effect that it set out to accomplish. My name is Moses. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.